Hello, everybody. Welcome to the criminal law course at Mercyhurst University for fall 2020. As you all know, we are in the middle of a pandemic, and hopefully that will not change in any way what I am planning on doing in this class because it's already online. So hopefully this will be one of the parts of normalcy of your life that can just kind of flow along no matter what else is happening in the outside world. I'm really excited to teach this class. I do practice criminal law. I worked in the Erie County Public Defender's Office for many years, and I actually specialized in doing appeals there. So it's very interesting to me to break down the criminal law statutes and to look at why we have certain things in the crimes code and how people can enter defenses to crimes, when people have the capacity to commit crimes, all of those kinds of questions. And whatever part of the criminal justice system you want to go into in terms of your future career, you are going to have to understand criminal laws. If you want to be a police officer, you are going to have to actually charge people with crimes, and you're going to have to be intimately familiar with either your state's crimes code or the federal crimes code, depending on which jurisdiction you work for, so that you can really understand, appropriate charges to bring against people. If you're working as an attorney, obviously, you're going to need to understand the crimes code. If you're working as a probation officer, you're going to need to understand, why was this person convicted of this particular crime? What does that mean for me in my supervision of the person? And even if you're, working in a jail or you're working in social services, obviously understanding, again, why people are being convicted of certain crimes, what their defenses are, those are going to be very important to know. So I'm going to teach this from a very general perspective. Each state has its own crimes code, and it may vary a little bit by state in terms of what certain crimes are called or what the elements of those crimes are. Murder, manslaughter, first degree, second degree. Sex offenses often have different titles in different states and vary a little bit in terms of, ages for statutory rape and things like that. So some of the examples that I will give will be obviously from Pennsylvania state law, because that's where I practice. But generally, you'll be learning the law kind of as it applies to most states. And then obviously, whenever you start your career, you want to make sure that you are intimately familiar with the crimes code in that particular state. This is me, and again, some of you will see me in person, but some of you are learning only remotely, so you will never run into me in the hallway or anything, but again, I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm hoping to be able to answer all of your questions throughout the term, and hopefully, bring you a lot of knowledge about the criminal code. So there's a lot of goals and purposes in this course. We want to know everything about criminal law. So basically the basic concepts, defenses, punishments, why the crimes code is set up a certain way. Review the purpose of even having a crimes code, the scope of criminal law. So we'll do a little bit of philosophical stuff towards the beginning of the semester. Identifying essential elements of a crime and really understanding what they mean. One of the biggest things about new legislation, if we're, trying to create a new crime, a new area of crime, is to make sure that it's extremely specific and that people know what offenses are prohibited and what offenses are, and what the elements of the statute mean. So we'll spend a lot of time breaking down certain words within the statute. Exact words are very, very important when it comes to the law, and especially criminal law. We'll talk about criminal liability, people's capacity to commit a crime, the insanity defense, those kinds of issues. We'll discuss the use of force a little bit, because that obviously, the inappropriate use of force can lead to criminal charges. We'll again talk about criminal defenses, self-defense, things like that. And we'll just talk about the various types of crimes. Generally, crimes are going to be either against the person or against property. And again, we want to talk about the very specific elements that relate to those crimes. So after this course, if you're, reading an article in the media or something, and someone is charged with a certain crime, you're going to be able to kind of start analyzing that and saying, okay, what did this person specifically do? What was happening in this particular situation that would have led to this charge as opposed to maybe some other charge that the person might be charged with, or some other crime the person might be charged with. So in terms of the format of the class, I think this is a pretty typical online class. There will be video lectures covering information both from the book and from outside of the book. Obviously, I'm giving the lectures, so I'm going to add some of my own information to that. There will be a weekly discussion board where you're looking at a particular issue, maybe looking at a video, reading a little article, and then discussing it. Also weekly, you'll have a response to a video where you're looking at it and answering a specific prompt. And then weekly quizzes on your reading. So I basically do a chapter a week. I do not do the entire book. There's a couple of chapters that I've skipped over because I just feel that you get that information in other classes that you would take during your criminal justice while you're getting your criminal justice degree. So make sure that you're, looking at which chapter we happen to be on in a particular week. The units we usually open about 2 weeks ahead of time, and so you can, plan your time accordingly. If you know you have a week where you're going to be particularly busy, you may want to work ahead a little bit. But I would suggest that, setting sort of a time, even though this is an online course, setting a block of time each week where you can know that you're going to have the time to go on to the site and do what you need to do. It's all through Blackboard and then a Cengage publishing platform called MindTap, and some of you may have used that in some of your other courses. If you are using MindTap or Cengage books in another course, there's a wonderful package you can get where you pay a certain amount and you have online access to all of the information for all of your courses. So make sure that you check that out. Just remember that this is an online class, so since you're not being required to go anywhere, your main thing is to keep the material. We can't accept late assignments in an online class. Now, again, there's a pandemic right now. If you should be ill and you're in the hospital or something, certainly get a hold of me and we can try to move some things around. But generally assignments are due when they're due, and again, plan ahead. Don't plan on doing them an hour before they're due every single week, because you may get sick an hour before they're due, or you may have an emergency or something might happen. I understand Wi-Fi goes in and out. We may have some crashes this semester, like either on Blackboard or MindTap or something, because so many people are going to be using those platforms, because a lot of things are going online that typically were not online. So just, plan for those, plan to not do everything at the last minute, and you should be fine turning everything in. You're really going to probably get into a routine, because every week is going to be pretty much the same amount of work. In the discussion board, there will be some rules posted for that. You can disagree with people, but please do so respectfully. Email me anytime with questions or thoughts. If I don't get back to you on weekdays within about, 24 hours, please feel free to forward your email again. I get a lot of emails, and sometimes they get buried, or sometimes they randomly go into my spam folder. Just keep in mind, just like everything we talk about in criminal justice, the criminal law system is not perfect. There are problems with it. There are problems with how we charge people. There are problems with what we define as crimes. So I want you to criticize it when appropriate, but realize also that the system is doing the best that it can, but we may come up with some ideas over the semester to make things better. So if you have any questions or issues, this is my email. For technical issues, contact the IT desk, because they're way better at answering those questions. I probably will have to get them a couple times throughout the semester too. And always read the syllabus first, because I try to be very explicit in that in terms of what's going on in the course. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful semester, and keep in touch with me with any issues that would come up.